Hello, everybody. Today we're going to be talking about EverQuest. We're going to be talking about the EverQuest emulator, the backend server, and its quest system. And I'm going to be introducing a new quest engine that's backed by C# and .NET. And we're going to go over a lot of the technical aspects of it, but we're also going to get into some live EQ interaction right here. So we'll kind of see it working in real time as well. So we're going to go over why I created the system. We're going to talk about the existing Quest system, get into a little bit of the benefits and what is provided with this new system, go through some examples, talk about some more complicated examples like AI, and kind of bring it back home to some existing tools that I've created and am maintaining right now for the EverQuest emulator community. So why I wanted to do this is I think mainly because I like to try to pioneer things. I like to do something new and look at old systems and try to improve on them. A few years ago, I ended up embedding a Node.js runtime within MacroQuest because I just wasn't very happy with the selection of scripting languages they had. The 20-year-old MacroQuest scripting language, I don't even know if there's a name for that language for obvious reasons, and Lua just never really spoke to me. It didn't really seem like a real programming language, although it's very good at what it does. So I wanted to come up with something different. I ended up embedding a Node.js engine, and that's exactly what I did here with the EverQuest emulator server as well. I ended up proving that out pretty quickly. Within a week or two, I had a Node.js engine within the EverQuest emulator server, and I was using it to route all the Quest events into JavaScript. I was able to write JavaScript modules, and that's kind of my bread and butter, so I really enjoyed doing that. And it was nice. It was a little loose, a little hacky, and then it actually wasn't my idea. It was somebody else's idea to look into .NET as well to see if it was also possible to extend this to C#. So I opened the door there, kind of went down a rabbit hole, and a lot of challenges in the beginning, and a lot of decisions that ended up being overturned and taking a new priority for another way to do things, and trying to find the balance between having dynamic systems that were cross-platform compatible and minimal overhead with the overhead of running the system and the dependencies, and ended up finding hopefully the perfect balance for the benefit that we get from the runtime, the SDK, versus what it costs to be able to, technically to be able to run this on a server. So the existing Quest system, it's with Lua and Perl, like I had mentioned, and I will just say first that this system is pretty amazing. This is what gives the server life right here. This is what is telling NPCs that they have to talk to people and give you an item whenever you give them an item for a turn-in. It's what drives all the events for encounters, and yeah, this is really the lifeblood of the backend server here. People have put thousands of hours into making sure we have the correct implementation, or try to model the real live experience from today or from back in the day. And now people have been obviously creating their own custom content for years as well. So the system is there, and people have been using it, and I'm sure people complain to an extent, but it works, and it does exactly what it's supposed to do. And so this is an example of, we're going to kind of go into the example of the C# analog to this here very soon. This is an existing Lua file, and this is for the NPC in South Quanos. I'm sure you guys are all familiar. Captain Tillin with the Moonstones and the Nullfangs classic newbie quest. Lots of EXP. And here's the functions that are defined, routed in from the C++, and gives it all the good information. It takes that in and decides what to do with it. So here's an example of a little bit of verbosity in Lua right here, checking with this little library utility that they have right here. And there's other ways that people have done it within the context of the Lua libraries that they've kind of built out for this right here as well. But calling out each individual scenario of nullfang times 4, nullfang times 3, nullfang times 2, and just a regular nullfang right here. So yeah, this is what a Lua file looks like right here, and I'm just going to dive right into the C# part right here. So here is the analog to this right here. For anyone familiar with C#, it's the whole system is with exported types from assemblies. So these assemblies are compiled on the fly. Each zone has its own project, and that is compiled through command line, through the .NET command line. So a dependency of this is actually the .NET SDK to be able to compile these. And then it looks for all the exported types, and that'll marry up to the NPC type right there. So right here we have Captain Tillin, and looking at the same thing right here, and all these functions that are routed from the Quest system are going to be the same thing, but here we actually have a list of all of them. Like we'll be able to go to the INPC event right here that it inherits from. And these are all the different types of events. So there's always at your disposal every single type of event that can come in. So you don't have to worry about, what was that named, or or what are the arguments for that or anything. That's another thing. There's only one argument for an NPC event right here. That's an NPC event. So there's not, is it item 1, item 2, item 3, etc. It's always the same thing right here. And that one object includes everything that you need on that as well. So for the say right here, it's looking at me right here, and I will be the mob in this instance. I could also be the client. And get that name. But here's kind of how it works, and I'll get into kind of the benefit of it right here. We have fully typed systems right here. So that's me right there as the client. Get name. We know that's a string. We can do whatever we want with it right here. And we have diagnostics right here. All of a sudden, this isn't going to compile. We got red squigglies. That's not good news. But I'm just going to log in, and let's take a look at this in action right here. All right, here we are, already up and running. Okay, so the backend quest right now is from the C# engine right here. So I can just go ahead and say hail, hello, there's response, and here I'll do a little change right here. Actually, I'm going to also show off the whole concept of this is an actual first class C# class, and has all the benefits of everything in the .NET runtime, including private members and everything. So what I can do here is we'll save the state for that NPC, and I can save that. And right when it saves, we're pulling for changes, and we do a dynamic reload right away. It takes a couple seconds, and we're already recompiled. And then hail 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we got persistent state right here. Anytime we're doing development and we ended up saving, that's going to go back to nothing right there. So now we're back to where we were before right here. So what I wanted to go through right here, well, this is one of the differences as well. Instead of going through the whole how many nullfangs did I get kind of thing, this is what we would do right here. We look at every single item in the item list right here. So this could be, one nullfang, it could be 4 nullfangs, and this is a list that we can just iterate through. So every time it's a nullfang, we just give the quest reward right here. So we don't have to worry about, is it 1, is it 2, is it 3, is it 4? It just iterates through it. So this is a natural kind of enumeration in C# and many other languages, just iterating over a for each loop. And what I wanted to go through here was a little example which involves a couple different NPCs in the signal system right here. Signal system is great because it provides quest system interoperability. You can signal another NPC, and that NPC could be written in Perl, it could be written in Lua, and it's going to receive that signal and be able to do whatever it wants. So I wouldn't have to rewrite everything in C# in order to keep things working, if that makes sense. What I want to show right here, it's going to be this one, 18818, 18815. So this is the note about Nasher Furgut supplying casks of Blackborough Stout to McNeil Jacob. I'm going to give this to Captain Tillin right here. And he gives me that. And the result of this quest is spawning this right here, NPC Executioner. And right here we also have types like vector4, which are proper types that are associated with vector4 within the C++ code as well. So Executioner has spawned. Let's go find her. There she is. So the underlying tech with the interface between the C# and the C++ is using a technology called Swig. And Swig is a piece of tech that's been around for 20-25 years. And at its core, it's an abstract syntax tree parser for C and C++, and it's able to generate all the metadata info it needs to be able to create bindings and wrappers. So you can use Swig to create wrappers in Golang and Node.js, in Python, in Java, and they have one for C#. And C# happens to work pretty well when doing interop with C and C++. It's not perfect, there's still some marshalling going on, but it's pretty easy to write glue code between the two. So it does all the work for me, and what it essentially does is create a wrapper around the entire server code, so that anything you do in the server in the C++, all that control you have at your disposal right here. It's pretty crazy actually what you'd be able to do right here. There's the quest interface object. You can write direct database queries right in here. You can insert, update, query data and get it back in an array, a 2D array of strings. So it's a quest engine with the handrails off, basically. You have the entire full control over the server, and that could also lead to memory leaks. It could also lead to seg faults. You could crash the system if you didn't know exactly what you were doing. I think in the context of keeping things single-threaded, pretty basic, okay, NPCs say, things are going to be fine. You can get pretty complicated if you want to as well. You can use threads in here, you can use tasks, and there's always some caveats with that too, because the quest manager expects things to be run on that frame of execution, so it always has everything set correctly for the thread operator, or for the quest operator, whoever is running that quest right there. So it's kind of a use at your own risk system, I would say. One of the benefits here is our ability to attach a debugger. So what I can do here is I can look at everything inside here. This is pretty crazy. It's got pretty much everything. Entity list, data, mob, blah, blah, blah. What it does do though, and I'm gonna keep this going, is it stops the server. It freezes all the threads, and that's just a part of the core CLR attach, where it just wants to freeze all the threads. So you're always on a timer whenever you want to debug right here. I'd say it's about a minute. There's some utilities in here to extend that time a little bit, and I've talked to some people about what would need to happen from the client perspective to let us debug for an infinite amount of time as well. That would be nice. I mean, in the meantime, this is what people do. They use logs right here, quest debug. So it's just running in real time. You get your output, write whatever you want, and you see any value that can be serialized. But for really digging in and seeing exactly what's going on, it is really handy to have the debugger here as well. So what this quest is doing is it's looking at waypoints, and something will happen at each waypoint right here. Like she already talked to Captain Tillin up there. I signaled him, he responded. She's keeping it going. And when she reaches waypoint 40, we'll see what happens. There's the signal, and bam, he gets a signal event right here. And he says, "You shall never take me alive, 1, 2, 3. Gets that, here's some utilities right here. Get NPC by name. This is pretty easy. So you don't have to say, is it 13314, 13315? Here it is right here. I'm just gonna get it by name, and I have a reference, a wrapper to the actual pointer instance in the C++, and they can invoke all the methods on it, do whatever I need to do right here. So that made them hate each other for a minute, and the executioner did the dirty deed, and it's done. Excuse me. So that was an example of kind of a multi-part quest right there, a little more complicated. Encounters are probably one of the most complicated things that I haven't had the time to spin up an example for right here. But what I wanted to also show off here, so looking at these classes right here, they all inherit from my NPC event. We saw earlier that has all the different methods, and people can do, you know, whatever they want right here. Here's the meat of the operation. So I've also written some utilities. For a little bit of AI interaction here as well. So I'm going to go over here and show how easy it is to define an AI NPC. This is a class that I have right here that runs some OpenAI utility to be able to tell the NPCs where they are, what they're supposed to be doing, and how to respond right here. And it actually responds to faction changes as well. So right here, Evan Strongbear, he's defined as an AI NPC. This is all I have to do right here. I don't have to do anything else. And I can define a number of NPCs really quickly and say, okay, all these NPCs should be responding in this, as AI, as who they are, based on what OpenAI knows about the NPC Evan Strongbear. So I'll give this a shot. Who are you? Greetings, Naliquin. I am Evan Strongbear, blah, blah, blah. How may I assist you on this fine day? I have a red backpack. A red backpack. Yep, pretty useful. What color is my backpack? Your backpack, as you've mentioned, is red. A fine choice for a bold adventure. I think so too. Who is Captain of the Guard? It's Captain Tillin. What do I turn into him to receive a reward for helping the city of Quanos? Let's see if he knows this one. Aha! To aid the city and receive a reward from Captain Tillin, you might consider turning in Bandit Sashes or Null Fangs. Does he take Bandit? I don't even know if he takes Bandit Sashes, but at least he got that maybe half right. That is pretty crazy right there. Thanks, Evan. So here's a cool part of that as well. Is it responds based on faction, and I forget which one this is. I'm going to make this both. So I just save a faction in the database. I got a camp and relog in here. And now he doesn't like me as much. Hey, how's it going, Evan Strongbear? Let's see if he knows my backpack color still. What color is my backpack? Maybe he doesn't like me anymore. Let's see. Do you like me? to prove your worth and loyalty to Quanos, and you shall earn the respect and admiration of his people, including myself. Am I well regarded here? Your current standing suggests there's room for improvement. Okay. All right, I'm going to pop this back up to 2,000. Save this, pop back in. Hey, Evan Strong Bear. On this fine day in South Quanos, am I well regarded here? Ah, I am held in high esteem. My deeds have not gone unnoticed. My ability to change database values. Okay. Yeah, so, you know, there's a million things you could do with this. This is just a really tiny example of putting a little bit more life into the game through the quest system right here. That about wraps up the .NET Quest Engine right here and what it's doing. The last piece I wanted to show off is something I've been working on integrating. It's not complete yet, but it's kind of the whole bringing it back home to the Sage tool right here. It's a lot of things at once. Sage. It's an EQ asset decoder slash 3D viewer slash database editor slash interactive this and that, and now it's one more thing as well. So what that one more thing is will be this right here. Loading in the zone. Here's our big boat. Okay, so where were we? We were down here. Just for fun, I'll show off a little bit of Sage right here too. I'm gonna go ahead and move him over here. Bam. And then repop force. There you are. That's cool. Okie dokie. So this is the new addition in Sage right here. So what this does is hook up to a remote file system, which happens to be over the network for me right now. This is my my Mac, and this is my Windows system on the other monitor right there. And we have a direct pipe into the file system right here. We have everything we had in the VS Code editor without the ability to debug, of course, but we have the same IntelliSense right here. And I'm going to change this right here, something else. And this is something I don't think I showed off before, but I will write some bad code right here. And it's going to tell me this code is bad right here, but I'm going to save it. Saved right here. I'm going to go back here, and it's going to give me exactly what went wrong right there. We expected a semicolon and some other things too. There was a variable that wasn't referenced, or this thing doesn't exist in the context right here. So that's an error right here. But I can save this right here. Save that. Go over here. And it successfully recompiled. And we go to Captain Tillin. And there we go. And you can see that this says updated right here. And if I change this right here, go ahead and save. Recompiled. 1, 2, 3, 4. Go back here. Got 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is just a synchronized system right here. And this is an effort to try to make everything for editing a zone kind of a one-stop shop right here. So we can do quite a few things in EQ Sage. And now this is one of them right here. And the intent is to take all the data that we have directly pulled from Spire. So we have metadata about the spawned NPCs. We know that these NPCs are spawned, and that this execution, for example, isn't a spawn NPC, but is a triggered NPC. So they're labeled differently. And we can do things like kind of help out to say, okay, you tried to export this Captain Tillin class, but it didn't match this one. So there's going to be another layer of validation to make sure that everything is in its right place, and this is how you define player. events. This is how you define item and everything, so there's no confusion right here. Like if I named this something wrong, like item with 2 M's, it would end up down here in other, and then we could go in here and say, oh, I don't have any item event handlers registered because the name isn't correct right here. It's not matching what we expect for .NET Quests. And I think that's about it. There's a lot more to say about this, but what I have planned for the future is some type of private release system right here. This is going to be maintained through a fork of the EverQuest emulator server and kept up to date, syncing with the main branch right there as well. It's going to be limited to Linux. Right now it works out of the box with AxStack, and we'll make sure that it will work on Linux natively as well. There are some technical hurdles I would have to go through to get things. I've gotten things working in compiling on both Mac and Windows, and it's not worth the lift to try to get things actually working, quote unquote, in terms of global symbols and DLL exports and everything. It's just not worth the refactoring effort. Right now it's actually a very slim refactoring effort in the server code in order to get this working. It's more just additional code that gets the runtime up and running the code here. So if you stuck around this long, thanks for checking out this long-winded video and checking out .NET Quests, and yeah, look forward to making more content about the stuff I'm developing and how other people can use it and the goals I have in mind. And this has been a very fun ride, and it's fun writing code for systems that other people get to use, and other people will get to build their own worlds out of it and everything too. So appreciate the time.